Good morning, everybody. I hope everyone had a great week. I just wanted to talk to you a little bit this morning about morning meditation and what you can do and what I do, or at least try to. Because if your house is anything like mine, you probably don't really ever get quiet or peace of mind. But there are some places that you can actually get time alone. And this might sound crazy, but if you have a hectic life like I do, and a needy husband and pets and kids and whatever else is in your life every day, your 30,000 emails for work and everyone's got fires in the morning that you have to put out. These places, as crazy as they're going to sound, are going to make a big difference for you. So if you ever wanted to meditate and you couldn't actually find the space to do it, I'm going to tell you where I do it. And I'm going to start with number one, a place that we all visit every day, sometimes multiple times a day. And if you only get to go to the bathroom once or twice during a shift, if you're limited, that's fine too. But that is my number one place that I go alone, the pooper, the bathroom. Sometimes I'll act like I have to poop, but I don't actually have to poop. I'm just going in there so that I can regroup and get myself together and do some deep breathing. And one of the things that was taught to me was breathing in for 10 seconds. And when I mean breathing in, I mean you are breathing it down into your belly. Like you're over there trying to look like you're ready to give birth, breath in your belly, and then you release it for 10 seconds. So, this morning, we're going to try a little experiment. If you are listening to this podcast, we're going to do a quick breathing session. And then I'll go on to tell you more of the places that I find peace of mind and space to meditate throughout my day, especially in the morning time. But we're going to start by breathing in for 10 seconds. And here we go. And then we breathe out. And a big part of breathing out is going to be when you breathe out, let it out. Let the negative energy out of you. So, as you're breathing out, whatever it is that's bothering you, feel the air flow out of your body from your face, your shoulders, relax your shoulders. When you're breathing out, you can move your head side to side. If you do this just 2 or 3 times while you're in the bathroom sitting on the toilet, whether you're actually using the toilet or not is your business, not mine, but it will make a big difference for you. The second place that I meditate is the shower. It's a great place to relax your entire body. I actually bought a shower chair. Sometimes I will just sit on the chair so that I can just let the water run over me, kind of treating myself to a spa at home. I know that's not always possible because sometimes when getting in the shower, you're already late and you're rushing. So if you can't sit in the shower for a few minutes, you can at least stand there. And while you're standing there, do your breathing exercises. Also, I love essential oils, and you can literally take whatever your favorite essential oil is. In the morning times, I prefer like orange and mint. They're uplifting, or grapefruit. In the evening, I'll use like chamomile or lavender. Lavender for nighttime is my go to if you need to de stress. But to get yourself up in the morning for this podcast, I'm going to stick with morning and daytime to keep you going throughout the day. So anything that you smell that brings you, you know, enlightenment or awakens you. Rosemary is phenomenal for memory, and I highly recommend that if you've ever struggled with any kind of brain fog in the morning, or you just can't get your thoughts together. You can literally just take a bottle of rosemary oil, hold it up to your nose, take a deep breath, let it out, do it again, and then just go about your day. And let me know. Let me know. You can comment on this podcast if it actually works for you. It does for me, and I know it does for a lot of people, but if it doesn't work for you, I'd like to know that as well. I'm sure there are other options out there. I'd love to hear about those too if you wanna comment those. I'm willing to try anything, and I mean, I literally have tried everything. When I tell you that I have put sage oil, I've burned sage, um it's actually funny, when I first learned about sage and burning it in your house, I would crack the windows and I'd run through my house and I'd sage it. And I did it in the morning, afternoon, evening, whenever I had time to do it, I would do it because someone said it would clear the negative energy out of your house. And I remember my son being a teenager and walking in the door as I'm saging the house, and he goes, "Oh my God, what is that awful smell?" And I just laughed and laughed. And I thought, okay, you little demon, like, obviously, you got a lot of negative energy in you if it smells that bad. And he laughed too because, if you're not used to it, it can be pretty strong. And they have bundles, that have other scents in them. But if you don't like the smell of smoke or you can't handle smoke in your house, you can always put it in a spritzer. So sometimes when my husband annoys me, I will actually take the sage water and I'll just start spraying him down like holy water. And he's like, "What are you doing?" And to me, it's funny. But laughter is also really good medicine. So when you're on a journey of meditation and healing your mind, I find that sometimes when I do certain things or I'm trying a new experiment and I'm showing those around me that I love and they make jokes and like I'm like they're my guinea pigs, it makes me feel better when, like, they joke about it and then we can laugh about it. So, if someone's making fun of your journey or laughing because you're suddenly doing holistic things or taking time for yourself, don't let that discourage you, because if I let every time someone said I was doing something that was crazy or useless, I would have never gotten anywhere in my life. So I really think that, when you're doing this and on this journey, you definitely want to keep your focus on, what your end goal is. And that's just to be mentally sound. And like I've said before, it's very hard in the world that we live in. There's so much pressure on us on a daily basis, especially our home life, our work life. So, keeping that focus is very important. I also keep throughout the day, I have essential oil roller balls, which are really awesome. And I put essential oils in there that are uplifting. Like sometimes I'll have peppermint in there, or I will do the clary sage, something that's gonna, when I roll it on me or I smell it, will make me feel better. We took a flight recently to Vegas, and I actually had wore a necklace that holds essential oils. And sometimes I don't like flying. And sometimes when you're scared or you have an emotion, it just taking that necklace and I hold it up to my nose. And of course, I look like some kind of like, I wonder what the people next to me were thinking as I'm going, and holding my necklace up to my hand. I don't know. I get like this like Wolf of Wall Street vibe. Like, are they thinking I'm over here snorting something crazy? But no, it's just essential oils for my mental health so that I don't freak out on all of you while I'm sitting in this seat as this plane takes off. But it's little things like that that you can do to really help you throughout the day. The shower, like I said, is a great place. And obviously, you've got to use the bathroom at some point. I know there are places that you work that only allow you to take so many breaks, but I can promise you that if you need to use a restroom, they're not probably going to tell you no. And it's perfectly normal for you to be like, "Excuse me, I have to go to the bathroom." Now, if you look at your boss and you're like, excuse me, I need 5 minutes to meditate, they're going to laugh at you, which is crazy. And I hope that that eventually changes because I do see a lot of companies that are offering mental health breaks or time off for mental health, paid time off, which I think is awesome because we are not our true selves and we're not good at being ourselves if we're stressed out. And you're never going to do your job to the best of your ability if you're constantly stressed. When I'm stressed out, I can't think straight. I'm super emotional. I'm hyper empathetic and I feel everyone's emotions around me. So if I'm stressed because of the environment I'm in, I'm feeling my stress, your stress, the dog's stress, everyone's stress, whatever's happening around me, I'm taking everyone's stress on. And it gets very overwhelming at times. And I'll even just cry for no reason. And that's because I'm human and I'm sharing all of this about me because I know that there is this persona that I'm just this bubbly, outgoing person who never has any problems. And oh God, don't I wish that were true? You know, I mean, I find myself, at times I will joke and be, like, there's no place like home. There's no place like home. And for some people, that might be the case. Maybe you go home alone and you don't have any responsibilities at home. You don't have pets or kids or grandkids or, anyone beating your door down to get your attention or they want you for something or, you're not as an in demand person and that's totally fine. But the majority of people are not that lucky. When they walk in the door, their home is another job. It's full time. It's like you never stop the minute you wake up. So if you can take anything from this, just know that it's one completely normal to, wake up and be in a mood, especially us women, if we don't get enough sleep. And if we're overthinkers, you're definitely not sleeping because I wake up all hours of the night thinking about the most random things. And sometimes I'm reliving my past. I'm sure most of you have experienced that as well. Sometimes I'll even have conversations with myself about how I should have approached something. And I like to refer to that as not being crazy, but self-analyzing and learning myself. And that might sound crazy to some people too, but learning who you are and setting your boundaries and enforcing your boundaries is really important. If you don't set boundaries ever, people will take advantage of you. And I don't think people take advantage of other people intentionally. I think it becomes the norm. I have so many people that come to me for advice or that tell me when I show up somewhere, like, oh God, we're so glad you're here because, we know that, you're just so full of positive light and energy and you're always joking and laughing, which is my true personality. By nature, I really don't like to take things too seriously. I do have a professional side. I tell people all the time I can eat with the homeless and I can dine with the president. I know how to act, and I've talked about this, acting accordingly. But for the most part, I am that person, and I'm happy when people come to me and they feel that they can share their problems with me and they think that my advice is helpful to them. But I also am human, and sometimes it's hard for me to share my problems or how I'm feeling with others because I don't want to be a burden to people and I don't like to express myself. And I think part of it is too an image, keeping up your imagery. But, you know, like I said, meditation is very important and you don't have to call it meditation. If you want to call it prayer, if praying to God makes you happy, pray. Go to the bathroom and pray. I pray, I meditate, I do a lot of things. I don't bubble myself into one group of practice of religion or spiritual beliefs or I used to, and I went to private schools. I was raised Catholic. There's a lot of good qualities about a lot of religions, actually, that I feel. But that's a personal choice, and that's something you have to decide on your own what works for you. And, the other good thing about meditation or prayer is you don't owe anyone an explanation and you don't have to tell people what you're doing. That's why going to the bathroom or, oh, I'm going to go take a shower, even if it's in the middle of the day. Like if you're a stay-at-home mom and your kids are napping and you have a minute and you need to just release some energy, go to the shower. Go sit in the shower for a few minutes and just, breathe in, and put some essential oil mists in there. Like I said, I make a spray bottle and I'll spray it in the shower, or, you can get the little bath fizzers. If you're on a budget and you're cheap, kind of like me, like I always tell everyone I'm Dollar Tree and my husband is Saks Fifth Avenue. He's so bougie compared to me. Like I'll buy food from the dollar store. I eat peanut butter and jelly. I eat cereal. Anyways, I'm getting off on a tangent, but I'm okay with that stuff. I also like good wine and filet mignon. So, it's just, again, it's the environment that I'm in, but I have no problem taking time for myself. And sometimes just walking outside, if you don't have time to shower or you can't go to the bathroom or you just need a minute, if you can walk out a door outside and it's a sunny day out, and we live in Florida, we're very blessed to have the majority of our days, be sunny and bright. The people that live up north that are listening to this, I get it. Like, I lived up there for a couple months, and it was very depressing when it's very overcast and cold, but I found myself finding comfort in things in the cold weather, like the smell of hot chocolate or potpourri burning on the stove. So if you have anything like that, things that sense from when you were a kid, if you can locate things like that, I find that when you smell something and your mind goes, I remember that. I remember that smell. That's something that I had as a child. I think you will quickly realize that, being a child is so innocent and pure, and those moments are joyful to you. Focus on that. Think about those moments. And then you can always be like the person, if you're sitting in a meeting and it's high stress and you just, you can't lift up your necklace and smell it because everyone's going to judge you and that's going to make you more uncomfortable. You can always go back to the practices of what college taught you. And that was, to picture everybody naked or in a chicken suit, or, focus on, someone's button not being, but I find humor in a lot of things, internally. If I see something, random, I might giggle inside. You could do that too. You could still be engaged in your meeting and focused, but at the same time, if it's, someone's gone off on a tangent, and I've been at meetings, networking events, things where people just kind of go on and on and on and on and on, and you're like sitting there like, okay, well, like, the rest of us got to go and talk, and I have stuff to do. At that moment, I'll take that moment to start thinking of something positive and, focus on that, so that when this person's done, I'm not sitting there with my facial expressions and everyone in the room can tell that I'm like, what the heck just happened? But, anyways, moving forward, I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. I hope that everybody, takes time for themselves. And like I said, if you have any questions about anything, I have so much more to talk about coming forward. I am working on getting people on my show. So if you're interested in that as well, and you have something that you do or you offer to people, I don't care if you're selling a product. I mean, you can absolutely contact me and I'll be happy to, have you on the show, and we can engage and talk about what it is that you can do for others, whether it's, meditation or it's prayer, or I have a few friends who are in book clubs, which I'm not really a book reader anymore, but I do love the books, the audiobooks. I've recently got into those, which I think is great. And I find myself reading books that are about meditation. I also read or listen to books that are about, bettering yourself and becoming, wealthier, and how to make yourself successful as a business owner, and, just bettering myself every day mentally. But just to recap really quickly, I'm going to end this podcast a little bit shorter because we actually do have to go somewhere. My husband was nominated for an award, which is super exciting. And so I'm going to be heading out soon. But remember, when you need time for yourself, you can always go to the bathroom, shut the door, and you don't have to let anyone in. That is your space to do your business, pun intended, on your own. Whether you choose to use the bathroom at that moment, again, your business, not mine. But go in there, take a few deep breaths. I actually leave sprays and spritz in my bathroom. I'm sure most of you do. Spray a little spritz in there, and then just sit there on the toilet and take some deep breaths. Hold it in for 10 seconds, let it out, that kind of stuff. And then shower if you can, get up in the morning, and before you go with the hustle and bustle of life, before you pick up that phone, before you're, doing it, besides let your dogs out. I know I have to let my dogs out first, but, we take turns doing that here at my house. But you can always just go right into the shower and just give yourself a minute to wake up, take some deep breaths. Like I said, incorporate some essential oils into your shower. Those are going to be great ways for you to start your day off right, in the right mood, and just keep yourself going. But as always, make sure that you are positive and try to stay positive. Find the positive in everything that you do. Have a great day. And thanks for listening.